Here's the best spell of every level in D&D. Cantrips. Eldritch Blast. So here's the thing, if you have to sell your fucking soul for a cantrip, it's probably pretty good. Eldritch Blast deals 1d10 at a range of 120 feet, just like the cantrip Firebolt. Also, just like Firebolt, it deals more damage as you level up. At level 5, it's dealing 2d10, at level 11, it's dealing 3d10, etc. But unlike Firebolt, Eldritch Blast lets you split each d10 among different targets, and it also deals a better damage type. Force. However, Eldritch Blast is really the best because no other spell has an entire class built around it. Warlock invocations take this cantrip and stick so many fireworks up its ass, it becomes the second most versatile spell in the game, after Wish. Now sure, Guidance might be the mathematically best cantrip, because that spell is insane. But Eldritch Blast is arguably on the same level of power and way more fun, thanks to the whole build your own war crime thing you can do with the Warlock invocations. First level, Find Familiar. Find Familiar is the highest value spell in D&D. For a first level ritual, it summons a spirit that takes the form of an animal from this list. You can command it, communicate with it telepathically, look through its eyes, and even cast spells with the range of touch through it. It can also take any action, aside from the attack action, which includes help. This can give you advantage on a ton of different ability checks or on melee attacks, which is already nuts. Then it can scout, stealth, trigger traps, create a distraction, or just be adorable. And then you've also got to give a nod to the roleplay. D&D is, at the end of the day, a game about immersing yourself in a story and a character. Having an animal companion is amazing for this. Try not getting invested in your character when you have a pet weasel called Pop-Tart. It is impossible. 2. Invisibility. Wow. Didn't see that one coming. So invisibility is obviously great when it comes to hiding and sneaking in D&D. Stealthing around, stealing stuff, running away, it's all good, and you can cast it on the whole party at higher levels. Now granted, the invisibility ends early if you attack or cast a spell, but there is little room for cheese here. If you're a Dragonborn, you can use your breath weapon and remain invisible, because it's not technically an attack. Your DM might have something to say about that, but rules as written, and according to Jeremy Crawford, this is totally legit. You can also use items that deal damage, like throwing a bead from a necklace of fireball for an invisible explosion cannon. Even if your DM says no, that would break the spell, invisibility is still fantastic for infiltration and assassination. Or just demolishing all your enemies in a surprise round with your entire party perfectly positioned for murder hoboing. Third level. Conjure Animals. This is the best third level spell if your DM isn't a total troll. Conjure Animals lets you summon a bunch of spirits in the form of beasts. You can choose what challenge rating you want the spirits to be at, and if you pick a lower challenge rating, you get more beasts to compensate. Now every DM I've ever had let players choose what beasts they got with this spell, which is insanely strong. You could just always summon 8 wolves, for example, and pack tactics your way to a furry massacre. Technically though, you don't get to choose what beasts will appear. You only get to choose what their CR will be. Still, you know, that's amazing. You get to put a ton of bodies on the board that will deal damage and eat up your enemy's attacks. Obviously, if your DM nerfs this spell by giving you trash every time, it's probably not very good. And the best third level spell is probably like Revivify? I don't know, there's a lot of good third level spells. Fourth level, Polymorph. So I made a video already about how creative and powerful Polymorph can be, but it's always worth taking a moment to realize how badass this spell is. It lets you turn any target into a beast of CR equal to or less than their current level. If they resist, they need to make a wisdom saving throw in an attempt to stop the effect. This is both an insane buff for you and your friends, and an instant loss for your enemies. If you polymorph them into a spider, they're effectively beaten. If you polymorph your friend into a giant ape, they're effectively beating the shit out of everyone else. And now, a dick joke, brought to you by Dice Geek's Random Tables.
I am so hard right now.
What?
Og is planning D&D session for friends. It's making me so hard. It's very difficult.
You mean you're working hard?
That is what I said.
Okay, 2 things. 1, you're not saying what you think you're saying, and 2, just use Dice Geeks.
Okay, what is this? Dice Geeks?
Well, Dice Geeks is a website where you can get free dungeon maps for a start, and then pick up PDFs of random tables with everything you'd ever need to make an adventure. They got NPC names, randomized encounters, randomized loot, backstory prompts, and plot hooks. You can build an entire session in literally a minute by rolling randomly, or put it together from the ones you like best. It's less than $9 for a book, or you can get the PDF for like $3. That's $3 to save hundreds of hours of prep time across the campaign.
Og approve your words and feminine eyelashes. Og will use Dice Geeks to create fun, stress-free adventure for friends. Now if only I could do something about this constant erection.
Cut down on prep time and make DMing a breeze with Dice Geeks Random Tables. Get your free maps and up your game right now by following the link below. 5th level. Wall of Force. Wall of Force conjures an invisible wall that nothing can physically pass through. It's immune to all damage, it can't be dispelled, it floats freely in the air, and it extends into the material plane. Fuck! That is excessive. Wall spells are good because they divide up a fight to suit you. Are you fighting 2 powerful enemies? Boom! Wall of Force. Now you're fighting 1 powerful enemy, and you've got the other one trapped in an invisible cage, watching you murder his best friend. I've seen a guy sink a galleon in a naval battle just by conjuring a wall of force right in front of the enemy ship. It's also a bridge over lava or a canyon, or an emergency shield for the entire party. Yes, I know it's not as exciting as animating 10 flying dildos with animate objects, but Wall of Force is one of those boring but powerful spells you're always grateful to have on hand. 6th level, Mass Suggestion. So Mass Suggestion lets you target up to 12 creatures and suggest a course of action that won't obviously harm them. Then each one makes a wisdom save, and any that fail have to do that thing. And it lasts for 24 goddamn hours, no concentration. The effect ends if you or your companions deal any damage to a target, but aside from that, it's free mind control. The only thing about this spell is that the course of action must sound reasonable. But the example the spell gives is ordering an entire squad of soldiers to give all their money to the first beggar they meet. Clearly, it doesn't need to be a smart idea or one that's even in the character's best interest. It just needs to be not suicidal. This is insanely powerful. It can just end a fight. Tell them to just go home. Also, in social situations, although a little bit unethical, mind control is a great thing to have on your side. 7th level, Simulacrum. Ah yes, the spell that lets a bard literally go fuck themselves. Simulacrum lets you create an illusory duplicate of one beast or humanoid in range for the entire casting of the spell. And bear in mind, it takes 12 hours to cast. It is exactly the same as its target, except it has half hit points, can't regain spell slots, and doesn't have its equipment. Otherwise, it's the same. It obeys your commands and is an ally to you and your party. I probably don't have to explain why having an additional, repeatable, level 13 spellcaster on your team is insane. The only drawback is the material components are quite expensive and the simulacrum can't gain experience or level up. 8th level, Clone. Funnily enough, immortality is pretty good. Clone grows an inert duplicate of a living creature inside a vessel over the course of 120 days. Once formed, this clone lasts forever, as long as the vessel is never disturbed. Then if the caster ever dies, their soul just hops into their clone, and they're back. You've got a funky new, identical body with all the same abilities. The only thing you lose is your equipment. Funny thing, Clone used to let you turn into all sorts of crazy stuff, like an adult gold dragon. You could shape change into one, clone yourself, and then you'd have a new gold dragon body to go into when you die. However, they changed it because they were afraid of our power, and now it only works on medium creatures. Cowards. The stupid thing, though, is that because of that change, you can't use Clone if you're any small race. So, bad luck if you're a halfling wizard, I guess? Only tall people get to be immortal. Fuck you, Frodo. Still, immortality is really good, but it's not quite as good as 9th level, Wish. Wish just fucking tells you in its own description that it's the best spell in the game. But to be fair, it is the best spell in the game. It does so much that people constantly forget what Wish actually can do. However, Wish is not all-powerful. If you wish for something too powerful, it can just not work or work in a different way to what you intended. Still, it is the best spell in the game, but hand on heart, I really think it's only slightly better than True Polymorph, which is another insanely strong and very fun 9th level option. Remember to check out the Patreon to get awesome stuff and join in D&D games with the community, and like and subscribe. Also, check out other videos on the channel. Bye!